This video is sponsored by Huel. What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. All right, I have a follow-up video today to a video I made just a few days ago about Simon Holland when he said this.
They fitted a type of transmitter and receiver to their radio telescopes, which actually lets them communicate with extraterrestrial intelligence.
Now, I'll put a link in the description to that video if you want to go learn more. But during that video, I also said this. I've had Simon Holland on the show before. He's a great guy. Maybe I'll try to get him on. So Simon, if you're watching this, maybe you want to come on and we can talk about this a little bit more because this is fascinating. Well, I did get him on and I got him to explain a lot more about this particular situation. So sit back and relax. This is a phenomenal interview with Simon Holland.
And when they supposedly switched it on and they found signals, that's fact.
Now, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week about the UFO phenomena, and I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Let's make that happen. All right, Vetters, let's jump into this interview with Simon Holland. Okay, Simon, thanks for coming on, man. I'm super excited to talk about this video that you put out that went, semi-viral here, to be honest with you. And yeah, I mean, I'd say let's just jump in. What did I get wrong on my video? Let's start there.
No, you're doing a great job, and thanks for sharing it. And no, you didn't. It was good. You chose really good clips. I mean, I think I got everything wrong because I think listening to questions on your channel from your viewers and my viewers, they just wanted much more detail. And I think what we can do tonight very much is to deep dive into the truth and the source and the technology. I think I'd love to do that. It was what I did was a bit. It was based on a kind of a very interesting chat I'd had with this person who works with this radio astronomy group here in Europe, who are actually who have been now for a number of years have been trying out these quantum receivers and have possibly gone to quantum transmitters. And there's a lot of stuff about it which you need to know to make it not speculative, as Russ Coulthard would say, but real. And I think I'd like to very much share with your viewers what I can share and explain why I can't actually say who the group is. Once you know who the group is, you'll understand why they don't want to share it. It's to do with geopolitical issue of where they are. That's literally all I can say on that. But quantum tunneling communication works. The physicist behind it is a German guy who's still alive called Gunther Nimitz. He's a professor now retired at a large German university. And for back in the 80s and 90s, he experimented with what he's calling faster than light communication. Now, that got him into a lot of peer review problems because it's not faster than light. It's way better than that. It's instant. And that you need to understand that. So the big picture is that you, I, the viewers, everybody, we all live in this world of the far field, which just means we're made up of atoms, and we are, we go around in our little body suits and we interact with stuff and it all feels solid. But most of the universe doesn't exist in that way. The universe is, in fact, a quantum universe that we exist in. We're a coalesced group of atoms in a much bigger parallel universe. I mean, it's inside us. All our atoms inside you, inside all of us, do exist in the subatomic world. And that subatomic world doesn't have the same physics as we have. And in our world, there are limits. And the big limit for telecommunication is the speed of light. Thanks, Albert Einstein, and he was absolutely right. As soon as you exceed or get towards the speed of light, it completely messes around with mass and space and time. So it is a limit. It's a limiting factor. But in this subatomic or quantum world, there are no limits of speed of light because it's all very much connected. I mean, it all, Patrick, it all ties in so much. I'm seeing that this is all coming together. We're getting Roger Penrose and quantum brain structure. We're getting C5. We're getting all that psionic stuff. We're getting UAP, which seemed to be more of a phenomenon than a craft these days. And now we're getting more understanding of our place in a wider universe, that we are part of a parallel universe that exists. It's not weird, it's just inside us. And I think we're in touch with it. I mean, the thing out of consciousness, which is absolutely fantastic, is I think the human brain feels connected. We all have that feeling of being part of a bigger system. Yeah. I mean, that's often expressed in religious terms through religion. But I think we're beginning to understand that we actually are connected. Certainly talking with Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff, when they were doing remote viewing at SRI back in the day and for the CIA, the way that actually worked is that the remote viewers, as we all do, but they were particularly skilled at it, have the ability to look inside the quantum space, which doesn't have time. So they can look into the near future. So by looking and distantly, the quantum world doesn't have space time, as far as I understand it, as a filmmaker, rather than a physicist. But I mean, that's the big point, is that it's a much more connected space. So when you look into the quantum world with remote viewing, or you put a signal into it through quantum tunneling, it's instantly going to everywhere, and it's instantly there in the past, the present, and the future as a probability. So, and everything is connected. So that's what this Nimitz guy experimented with, and using a really kind of basic system. He sent a signal with a timer from a pulse generator. It went ping, and then he had an antenna, and he could measure when the signal arrived. Yeah. And there was a delay through normal propagation. This was the speed of light, and there was a tiny delay on two little clocks. Then he took the signal and made it quantum tunnel to a receiver. And what he discovered, and this is mind-blowing, what he discovered is that when the signal left, the pulse was generated, bing, it already arrived. Oh, hang on, no, you can't. Yeah, it did. So as soon as it goes in, it is coming out the other end. So there is no propagation delay of a wiggle of a signal. It is totally lockstep. And he said, well, that's amazing. How far does that go? And he discovered that it goes in an infinite amount of space. So you can put a signal into the quantum world, and it will propagate 100,000 light years away on a distant planet, maybe, or across the universe, or maybe the military using it just to cut down latency on flying drones from Omaha, Nebraska, whatever the, the quantum, if we can get that latency and that signal time down to nothing, it would be amazing. And look at Gunter Nimitz's work. He has patents. In this current video, I have now posted lots of links to his work, so you can look it up. So that's the basis. And, it's not me just talking my normal shite. This came from somebody who worked with Nimitz, basically. That's what I can tell you.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. It's fascinating, though, the idea that exists. Let's talk about Huel, a product I personally use. Now, although Huel offers a vast variety of products, today we're going to be focusing on powdered meals, such as the Huel Black Edition, that comes in a variety of flavors. My favorite, chocolate. And it's really easy to use. Water, just add a little powder, shake it, drink it. And remember, it's not a shake, it's a complete meal. Black Edition is a high-protein complete meal that's ready in seconds. Each shake delivers a balanced blend of carbs, fats, and 40 grams of plant-based protein, plus 6+ grams of fiber and 27 essential vitamins and minerals, all for just 400 calories. Now, I use these meals in the morning. They are phenomenal, and honestly, throughout the day. It's easy to make. It literally takes seconds, and the flavor is Amazing. I use Huel every day because it's delicious, good for me, and, well, very convenient. So use my code down below and get 15% off today. There's a link in the description and the top pinned comment. And of course, feel free to use this QR code to sign up as well. And there is no better choice than Huel, because we all need fuel for the human body.
One of the reasons that this group are pushing boundaries is because, I think I can go this far, is that they are slightly more aligned with something called METI. So the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and METI, which is Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And the METI idea isn't accepted as sensible by everybody. There have been big METI messages sent. Certainly Carl Sagan used Arecibo to send a very strongly powered message out into deep space using conventional radio frequencies years ago, which showed us as humans, and had bits, a bit like the gold disc on Voyager, but it was sent out by a radio telescope. So the people that I know are saying that they are definitely a bit maverick. They believe that messaging is completely fine.
Sure.
It's slightly difficult for me to go down the route of why they think it's fine, but they're definitely a breakaway group. Can I tell you how this all happened?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, all right. I mean, because again, thank you, Patrick, because it was, again, my video was just like shorthand. So people know that it's real. So this Nimitz guy comes up with this quantum communication that works instantly. It's not faster; it's instant. Yeah. And he demonstrates it. He runs a class when he was teaching for undergraduates, and his laboratory had these devices in it that you could do it. So he had the clocks, and you could time it, and students did it all the time. And he thought that it would be the obvious way of deep space communication, because the problem with RF at speed of light is that if you're 100 light years away, it takes 100 years to say hello. And then, so, I mean, it would be intolerable to have any deep space communication. And in fact, we're already up against that on our planet. Flying drones, say 5,000 miles away from a kid in a porta-cabin with a joystick. There's a latency for that to go up to the satellite, down to the drone, send the picture back, and back to their cabin where they're doing it for the DoD. So that latency of the speed of light does need to be eroded. So Nimitz wondered if the radio telescope community would be interested in putting a device that he made and strapping it, nicely onto a radio telescope to see if there might be signals out there in the universe that would suggest that an advanced technological species were, of course, using quantum tunneling, because it was the obvious thing that might be due. I mean, he guessed that in the same way that Drake and Sagan guessed that in early SETI that the aliens would use the hydrogen frequency, because that's the most obvious thing that everybody can hear when you turn on a telescope. You hear a whoosh, and that whoosh is hydrogen atoms all over the universe vibrating. So they decided back in the 60s that an alien would modulate that signal because the alien would know we could hear it. But nothing was ever found. So in the same way, Nimitz thought, well, why don't we strap one of these to a radio telescope? And he formed this meeting in Germany where he invited SETI, which went really badly, and a whole bunch of other radio astronomers, and told them about his device. They'd never heard of it. And he said, if you want it, I'll work with you and you can try it and see if it works. My anecdotal evidence, and I've been trying to check this for you just before I came on air for you tonight, is that the American SETI representative hated it and said absolutely no way, and walked out of the room or dissed it completely. But a group more open-minded. I don't like to say this. Another group said it was interesting, and one particular funded group who have large radio telescopes said, "Yeah, we'll try it." And this was maybe 15 years ago now. And when they supposedly switched it on, and they found signals. That's fact. What happened?
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
so a interesting communication in what form of communication, who knows, was found using this type of there's something out there. It might be a natural source, or it might be an intelligence civilization that is using the quantum world to communicate, and they found that. What's happened since then? It all went really quiet. The group went very, very quiet about it, and of course took I'm pushing boundaries here.
Sure.
Took the next logical step is, well, if we can pick it up, why can't we? The equipment
something.
can send.
Yeah.
So why don't we reply? And they are replying now. The person that I know who's part of this group said, the instrument, the equipment, picking up the signal or even sending a signal out is meaningless compared with interpreting what you're getting and what you're sending and what is the signal that you're receiving. They have no idea. He said it's completely doesn't have any basis on anything of the human race, mathematics, time, space, intervals, pulses, anything. It's a very strange signal. And of course, they are hoping that if they send out a signal, which is what supposedly they're doing, that if it is a highly intelligent extraterrestrial civilization, that they'll pick up our stupid signal, go, "Oh, who's this?" interpret it and send back a signal in a way that we can receive it.
Sure.
That hasn't happened yet,
Okay.
but they are working on this two-way communication. And they're keeping quite quiet about it because it wasn't totally accepted. It was quite a maverick thing for the radio astronomy community to do.
Sure.
And SETI USA hated it.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Okay. I want to make sure that I understand everything that you said,
Right.
and even for the audience, I'll just repeat it back, and you tell me if I got it right. I'm just simple, just a few sentences here. So about 15 years ago, I want to make sure I get the time right. About 15 years ago, roughly, they attached the transmitters to these radio telescopes, and they found a signal that they believed came from some sort of advanced race or entity, something other, right? And then other. And then they decided but they couldn't understand that signal that they got. They didn't know what it was entirely, if data, information, whatever. And they decided to send their own message out. And that's basically where we're at. We haven't heard anything back.
Sure.
Is that it?
And that research continues. It's being funded. The group is still doing it. They're doing it in a place in a country that I can't say that has issues.
Got it.
And that they want to carry on doing it. They have contacted me through my contacts and said that they like what I do as a broadcaster, as a communicator. And eventually, when certain political situations are a bit more stable, that they will be willing to invite me to the facility, which would be fantastic.
Oh, wow.
And to actually see the equipment and to meet the people involved. And I mean, obviously I would go wherever it is in a heartbeat. And they're all also, I mean, this is difficult for YouTube. It's difficult for normal peer-reviewed TV programs. I mean, they're not publishing what they're doing because they're keeping it pretty secret. I mean, there's a chance that they got the signal and they're not doing very much, and the guy's slightly bigging it up. I don't know, but the Nimitz device definitely works. You can demonstrate it in the laboratory,
Sure.
and the meeting with the telescope people actually happened. There's a published date meeting. There's even photographs of the meeting, and the row at the meeting with SETI and the other groups is in public domain. So that it definitely happened. It all goes a bit dark afterwards. The person I know works with the group, so he's the one who reached out to me and said, we choose you eventually, when the timing's right, to tell the world a bit more about it. He had a very unfortunate interaction with a large broadcaster, who treated it flippantly, and they want to work with outside of conventional media. They said
To get this out,
so.
yeah. I'm wondering why, if they didn't understand the signal that they got, the original signal, why not make it public to find out if they could figure it out and get,
Yeah.
get people behind it to figure it out? That would then
Mm.
dictate the type of message they send out. What if the message was, don't send us a message or you're dead or something? You know what I mean?
I know. Right.
I mean that probably sounds stupid. I don't think alien civilizations are sending out messages like that, but what if there was something in the message or something we just weren't, you know what I mean? I don't know. We picked up cosmic classified information we weren't supposed to know or something. I don't know.
No,
But in some ways I
I
get why they
clear.
keep it secret, to some extent,
Yeah,
because
it
they're
would
trying to
be. You would
finish the
think
whole
it would.
thing.
It'd be great to share. I
Sure.
completely agree. What I'm hearing is that the hurdle of understanding, interpreting, even vaguely interpreting what it's not a message. It's not text. It's not
Sure.
audio. It's not video. It's completely outside of the realm that they know even how to begin to look at. I mean, as I said in my little film, I mean, we have great difficulty talking to cephalopods, or our
Oh,
dog,
sure.
So I mean, talking to somebody with no basis, who didn't understand color, who doesn't understand mathematics, who doesn't understand anything, a highly strange civilization or whatever it is. I mean, that's the real hurdle. That, remember in that movie Arrival, I mean, that was the whole thing, talking to them, making some kind of contact,
Sure.
because, who are they? How,
Mm.
and it turned out, they were talking in circles and it was all interconnected. And that was it's a good example of thinking really, they're not going to be like us. They're going to be different.
What I wonder what made them think it was a message, right? Let's say, or let's
Yeah,
use Arrival as a great example. We knew it was a
right.
message because they drew this black circle and we could study
Yeah,
a thing. Is there
yeah.
something that's like made him go, "Oh, this is a message"? If it's not audio, it's not video, it's not tech, it's not what does it look that makes them go, "This is a message from an advanced species"? What about it? Like, how's
I'd
the
love to
data?
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm assuming that would be such a great question. I'll go back to my contact and ask him specifically. But I'm assuming that the fact that there was anything on those channels, that there
Okay, I
was,
see. Just any
there was an
noise, just something was there. I see. Okay.
well, it can't have just been noise. It must have been something which was, say, intermittent, or I don't know. But I don't know the answer to that. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, this is fascinating. I guess
Yeah.
at this point, the same question I asked in my video, which is this something we should do? And
Mm,
can a small group of people decide for the rest of humanity, right? Because the message they're sending out could impact all of Earth. And
sure.
should there be laws regulating that? And should people be allowed
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do that, send messages out like that? I don't know. I don't, where does freedom stop? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
That's
no,
a good
no.
question.
Certainly, if it had it could be a contact with somebody very aggressive. The chances are it isn't.
Sure.
But again, wonderful viewer comment. Somebody said the message that they received is, for God's sake, shut up. Our survival depends on being quiet. I thought, yeah, that's yeah. Yeah,
That's
I thought
funny.
that was really
Yeah.
no, and I think message to extraterrestrials is no longer popular.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's such
Yeah,
an but at the same time, like, we have to leave the cave even though there may be tigers around over the hill, you know?
no,
It's like we
right.
have to explore the universe even though there could be something coming up again. I mean, what do, right? Just stick our head in the sands, like, as a species?
Yeah, but do you get a rock and you throw it at the T Rex? Probably not. You know,
Great
it's
point.
probably
Yeah,
I'd rather look at him from
yeah,
behind the bush.
yeah, yeah, exactly, just exactly, and just tiptoe past them, right? Yeah,
You don't
absolutely.
throw sticks at
Yeah,
him.
don't
No.
taunt, don't taunt the
Right.
universe.
No, I don't know,
Yeah,
but I I think we're very blessed, Patrick. Not in a religious way, in a really interesting way. Is that right now your channel and social media are exploring a fascinating time in humanity. I really think that. Well, I mean, I know I went really out on a limb last year with the BLC1 signal, but and we've now definitely got biosignature confirmation from from the exoplanet. There's no other process that produces dimethyl sulfate,
yeah,
out there apart from something breathing, and we now have those tools for the first time in humanity to actually check little us, are we alone in the universe? And it's now more of a kind of a political, religious way of releasing that data to the public. I certainly I'm prepared to tell people about emerging science, even if it's a bit iffy, because it's interesting. There'll be, people will make mistakes. People will find things that aren't really there, and then things are actually there. Yeah, I
yeah,
very much back the Cambridge group with the James Webb Space Telescope biosignature. I think that, yeah, and talking to talking to the SETI woman from San Diego, she was saying that they're funding looking for nanosecond light pulses all over the universe, and they are finding them, and they are trying to work out what they are. Telescopes often take long exposures, but she's looking in a way that looking for transitory things that flash, which most astronomers ignore, and she's finding them. What are they? We don't know.
wow, wow, that's fascinating.
Interesting times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely interesting times.
sure.
Without a doubt. Yeah, wow, this is so fascinating. Okay,
And that's my whole thing. I mean, a lot of people kind of I mean, attack me for being a bit of a blabbermouth and not knowing my stuff. Absolutely correct. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. But I mean, most media doesn't like to talk about it, and a lot of channels only want peer-reviewed safety. And if there's stuff out there which is interesting, which is emerging, and we definitely live in interesting times, and I think it's all coming together. So yeah, I'm I've worked in science all my life. I do have a degree. I did teach at a university. I mean, I don't talk about it, and but I'm a filmmaker. I'm a science filmmaker, which I always say on my captions. So take what I say with a pinch of salt. Do your own effing research, and and there's interesting stuff out there that you're not being told about,
sure,
and you're going to hear it from vetted.
sure,
You're going to hear it from social media,
yeah,
because we are at the cutting edge, and we are prepared to bring these stories to you.
yeah. I mean, absolutely, without a doubt. Like, we should be
Yeah,
discussing these things. We should be covering them. There's plenty
sure,
of quote space out there for people to cover whatever they're interested in. And these are things people are interested in. Why not talk about it? I'm with you a thousand
right.
percent on that. what this okay.
Go ahead.
What how how certain are you that this is real? That this device was put on this radio telescope and that they're sending out the signal and all this is happening?
All right. All right. Here's the facts. Nimitz does quantum tunneling communication in a university in Leipzig, I think, in Germany. He attracts a group of radio astronomers. A meeting took place that was European astronomers and American astronomers in Germany, where he lives, where he demonstrated the idea to them. A group from that meeting went away and fitted the Nimitz receivers to their radio telescopes. Fact. What's happened since then is that they have become very quiet. My contact works with them and is saying they don't want to be public about who they are, where they're doing it is a real key question, and so that makes it kind of difficult.
Sure.
I suppose. But the first three facts, it works, and they did it.
Yeah. I mean, I looked up quantum tunneling. That is a thing. It exists naturally. It happens on the sun every day. Like these are real things that happen. Um,
Yeah.
and so it is fascinating to think about, for sure. Hopefully, hopefully they would want to come forward at some point,
Oh, definitely they do.
to talk about this. Like, but let's also be real too, just to cover your as well. Like, I appreciate you
Yeah.
covering it. I want to talk about this stuff. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
let's be real. They're not claiming they made contact with aliens,
No, not at all.
right?
We should. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the problems when the BLC1 signal I talked about, and when I talked to Breakthrough Listen about it, what they said and what SETI said is that the problem is, Patrick and viewers, when you say we have contact, we've picked up a signal from an alien race, an intelligent life form, everybody doesn't go, you do basic science and go, oh, that's rather interesting, what's the modulation? They go, what color are they, what are they saying, what's their TV program, like, stop, you can't. And SETI have actually commissioned a person to advise them on disclosure, and what their social advisors told them is, find the signal, shut up. Find more data. You need to be 2 steps ahead of the media, because they're going to be asking you questions that you don't know, and you're going to appear like a plonker if you can't answer what color are their socks, which of course you don't know. What are they? What do they look like? What cards they? I mean, stop it. So that is one of the issues that SETI, Breakthrough Listen, and this quantum group are having, is that about going off a bit too early on it. Sure. Because they need to be a bit ahead of what people are going to want to know. Where is it? Yeah. What are they saying?
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair point. I agree. Those would be the first questions that would be asked, and if they didn't have the answers, they would be ridiculed and maybe not taken seriously. So that does make sense. I hear what you're saying, and those are fair questions to ask. Where is it coming from? Are we in danger? That would be my first question, above everything. Who cares what color socks they have? Are we in danger? Am I good to go to the lake this weekend with my wife and friends? Am I, do I have to move?
Planets.
Planets.
Right. I hope not.
That's funny.
No, no, definitely. And the SETI report that they commissioned into disclosure also said, stay 2 steps ahead or 3 steps ahead, I think they said. because if you don't, ridicule, but also the media and people will start using wacky science. So they'll start going off on transients to say, well, if you don't know what they're saying, maybe we can use telepathy.
Sure.
And you need to stay focused. You need to and then the original organization who found it start becoming ridiculed, as you said.
Yeah.
And so it's a difficult process of actually revealing the science. In the biosignature people, the group in Cambridge, the brilliant guy who did it, he did it actually in 2020, and then was funded to do it again. And his second, when he did it again, he tried every single way to disprove what they'd found earlier. He didn't want it to be there, but in fact, they found a stronger signal. So that's the probability of it being whatever sigma real was higher the second time he looked. And but he repeated it to disprove, and that's what science does. You kill your babies. You're trying to get rid of the obvious, and the answer is often what's left. And you try and eliminate what you think it is, because you're probably going to be wrong. It's probably going to be something else. And he did that, and the signature's still there.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, my last comment here, and then we'll wrap up, Simon.
Okay.
I was thinking this: why, if it's instant communication, as soon as we send the message, shouldn't we be hearing a response pretty quickly? I mean, it can't be that the message is en route, right? So
no, there's no route.
Yeah. So why haven't we heard back? Would be my question, right? Or maybe we have, and they're not saying.
Yeah. You see, we're jumping ahead. I mean, I think they picked up something which was odd. I think they're picking up a possibility that some other intelligence or some thing out there is using tunneling as a form of communication. That's all I can say. And then I think there was a long delay where they thought about whether they should reply. And the other thing is that it's not a single point source. When you enter the quantum world, the space-time becomes totally connected. The universe a million miles away or right next door to you is the same distance.
Sure.
So you can't kind of send a signal to one planet and say where it's coming from. The signal is in the realm.
Sure.
So I mean, so how do you pinpoint it? I mean, I know that from the military, who want to have faster than light tunneling for control systems, and the problem with that is you can't encrypt it, because everybody's going to receive it. You the signal you could encode, but the transmitter is going to be omnipresent.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I mean, it's like spotting a plane in the sky and not knowing anything about it, and like, where'd it come from? But it's a plane that's flying. What's the origin?
Right.
Maybe these messages are tagged in some way or have some sort of quote signature on it that decrees where it came from. Some sort of numbers or something. That's interesting, though. That's an interesting point, actually, and maybe that's something we should think about also when we're sending out.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not so scary to send out if it's like, hey, they don't know it came from us. You know what I mean? Like,
don't tell them who we are.
Yeah, don't
tell them, Pike.
Yeah, exactly. Just like
a bad English joke. Right. All right. Patrick, thank you for listening to my ramblings. Viewers, ask good questions, and there's good stuff happening in the world right now, and you will hear it here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Simon, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy, and I'm glad we were able to get together. It's been too long. I promise the next time we'll keep it short. We both get busy and doing things, so I'm glad we were able to hang and talk about this. This was honestly fascinating for me, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know people are going to enjoy this as well.
Thank you, Patrick.